All right, it's the Final Word Daily. I'm Adam Collins, he's Jeff Lemon. We're at Perth Stadium for the mighty CBUS Super. CBUSSuper.com.au celebrating their 40th birthday in 2024. More about them later. For now, Jeff, sum up the day's play, the second day here in 30 seconds.
Mitchell Marsh, Perth's favourite son, resumed with Alex Carey. They had the chance to put on heaps. They put on 90. It's kind of heaps. It's on the way to heaps. Carey got out, got bowled a beauty by Ameer Jamal, and then so did Mitchell Starc, who came after him. Mitchell Marsh went on to 90, got out just after lunch. Australia tail was wrapped up quickly, 487 all out. They were a long way in front, but Pakistan did pretty well. Partnership of 74 between the openers. They grounded out. They batted real slow, and then Shan Masood came out for a sparkling 30. And so what? They're 120 something for two, 130 for two.
132 for two.
They're 355 runs behind, but they've still got 8 wickets in hand. They've got a night watch in the middle, so they're kind of in there. End of the summary, one Dennis Lilly behind. That's how I thought of it at the end of the day today. 355. That's how many Test wickets he took.
Or one Jeff Marsh behind. He made 355 against South Australia across the Swan River there many years ago in that 431 run stand with Mike Valletta. That's what story time does to your brain, people.
It is what it does to your brain. There was some good Marsh stuff. So Swampy, and this was very apt, Swamp on Twitter was doing the Marsh family total international runs for Australia, which added up to about 18,000, I think, that Jeff has got with Sean and Mitch, and it was being talked about on the ABC comms. I think it was Jim Maxwell goes, I wonder where would that sit in terms of families who've made runs. I'm like, Jim, I think the wars have got them covered pretty comfortably there, and probably the Muhammad brothers, all 5 of them, have probably got them covered there as well. Factoring in 50 over cricket and all the rest of it, but still. 18,000 runs in a family, not to be sneezed at.
Yeah, I suppose the Chappells with Vic Richardson, the granddad, go okay. There are others.
Can you get a triple?
Can we get a comprehensive list?
Does William?
Is someone going to make a list for us?
Can we get William Cooper's stats combined with Paul Sheehan's stats, his great grandson?
All the Paul Sheehan stats, all of them. Include all of them. Where are we? We're not talking about Shagger today, are we? We're talking about the cricket. The cricket that happened here at Perth Stadium.
Batting,
fielding. Let's talk about the Mitch Marsh batting to begin with.
Sure.
I thought it was significant on the basis that we keep hearing from Andrew McDonald that they want to play their best 6 bats probably at the end of this series. So when Warner retires, they're not completely sold on having an opener, air quotes, to replace Warner. They're relaxed about the idea of it being someone within the top 6. If that is to be Mitch Marsh, I'm not saying it will be, if it were to be, today's not a bad trial effort against second year ball, start of a new day and so on. And he batted really well. That first half an hour, there was nothing outlandish. It was fairly traditional, start of a new day, lay a foundation. As we said on the podcast last night, they lose Marsh and Carey straight away on day 2. We're probably having quite a different conversation now. And then they accelerated, then they put the foot down. Then it looks like it's going to be like Pakistan disaster day. I was reading Daniel Rasul's piece overnight, and he's like, I'm not going to write the disaster piece today. I'm going to wait for the day when I have to write it, which I will at some stage. And I'm thinking, this might be a disaster day, mate. But it wasn't, because they kind of dragged things back quite splendidly. 3 for 11 after lunch, after they got rid of the wickets of Carey and Starc before lunch with those 2 balls you mentioned from Jamar, who has it in him to bowl unplayable deliveries, and then 2 caught in the cordon after lunch to give him 6, 2 with the short ball yesterday. So a nice rounded 6 for 2 short balls, 2 lovely balls that took stumps out of the ground, and 2 caught in the cordon. And that's not a bad way to start your debut. I love this celebration. I love the way he kissed the turf, and I love the way he led the team off the field. I hope he has something of a Test career.
Yeah, he did. So there was a period there where he was just trying to bore out Mitchell Marsh by bowling bounces around about leg stump, just outside leg stump. They had the sort of like the kind of the Ashes style bouncer field with the forward deep square leg, the fine leg, and the kind of long leg. 3 out there behind, or 2 behind square, 1 just in front, and then a couple of others in terms of short leg and all the rest of it. I'm endlessly fascinated by this. Like, what is it that makes absolute fuckwits?
Yeah, I mean, like that guy's like 43. He's like 43. He's like,
you're an
he's
old
sticking his finger up at us now.
Well, I did that first, to be fair.
Oh, right. I didn't realise that was a reciprocity.
You were looking the other way, but I decided just to give it a.
But seriously, look at him. He's clearly had a nice day out. Fine. He's probably had a skinful, and that's fine as well. But he sees tripod, sees camera, goes, I must be heard.
I must scream. You are a grown man. You are, and I use that term loosely. I use that term very, very loosely. But you are, as far as society is concerned, both of those things. And yet here we are. I hope you're getting something good for Christmas. I hope it's a big plastic truck, and I hope you get to drive it around the kitchen table. You absolute mouth breather. All right, back to the cricket.
More energy today than yesterday, Jeff.
I'm feeling
a bit more zip. Maybe
because
Phil Meng's watching us record.
Yeah, the Father and Nerd Pledge.
Father and Nerd Pledge,
overseeing
no
things.
more than 4 metres from us. If he wasn't here, we might be,
This is where we're in
performance
the
suppose.
We're in the presence of greatness. But look, the fact that he was just bombing everything over the shoulder and trying to bore out Mitchell Marsh and get him to play a dumb hook shot, which admittedly worked for David Warner yesterday, seemed a little odd given the absolute perler that he'd bowled to Alex Carey, which I'm sure you'll come back to later, and we will spend some more time on that. But the ability to shape the ball through the air. There was swing this morning. They bowled badly in patches. They bowled too short to Mitchell Marsh earlier as well. Not that full bouncer barrage, but just too short, and he was able to pull a fair bit.
That straight-legged pull that Marsh is doing at the moment is shit hot. Like, he always played it, but it seems like every time it's in that, it's meant to be awkward, right? Somewhere between your hip and your nipple. It's not meant to be easy. When Cummins bowls there, no one really hits it. He's made an art form of hitting blokes in that region, and it's meant to be awkward. But Marsh has a way of getting up on top of the bounce anyway. And that's just a lot of practice, I suppose, and being so comfortable in his game. I can't remember who I was talking to on commentary about it today, but it's a little bit like Usman Khawaja when he returned to the Test side a couple of years ago unexpectedly. He's like, new lease of life, but it's all upside, very little downside. I feel the same way about Mitch Marsh right now. Everything that he's doing is a bonus, because for 2 or 3 years there, he would have thought that he's never wearing his baggy green again. Cameron Green well and truly overtaking him in the pecking order. Sure, he might go on to be a gun white ball player, but the probability of a major Test career was fading, having had all that potential. But it's just the way he hits the ball so bloody hard, harder than almost anyone I've seen, Mitch Marsh, and the positions he can get himself in to do so. Very much like as it was against England at Leeds when he returned to the team. He does bring something fundamentally different, and that's good. You want to have a team with batters who bring different attributes, and the way he's batting right now is a reminder that he's got that really high ceiling, and long may this continue.
It's a strange world to live in where Mitchell Marsh is good.
It's nice.
It's not what I expected 5 years ago.
It's a possibility he always was, just to advance
Maybe.
a theory with you, that he was, I don't know about played out of position, that might be overstretching it, but he at times tried to play like he was a number 4, so he tried to play more conservatively, which didn't suit him.
He played very timidly for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. And other times when he tried to play aggressively, it was often chasing declaration runs. We know that doesn't often help the average. So he was suffering from the worst of both worlds, and neither strategy worked too well, apart from that golden spell in the summer of 2017-18. It feels a long time ago now.
So he goes for 90. Perth crowd don't get their 100, but whatever. It was a good innings, good score. And then I enjoyed the way that Pakistan wrapped things up, that Jamal came back and went, no, you're not going to get 550 and really hurt us here. Bowled length, bowled outside off, bit of movement, drew the 2 nicks, got the one from Cummins behind, gets the one from Lyon behind. Hazelwood, I love how Josh Hazelwood is so consistent now. He plays one nice shot for 4 generally, which he pushes either through extra cover or behind point, and then either he gets out or the other player gets out. That's it.
That cut shot that he played with his knees bent. Whisper it. Looks like Clive Lloyd. I mean, it looks like Clive Lloyd.
They don't bear a lot of resemblance to one another in most ways.
For a fraction of a second, if you were to do the still frame, I can almost see Lloyd playing with his knees bent, carving it through backward point the way that Hazelwood did there with complete authority out the middle of the bat. But other than that, he's getting, as they say in modern cricket, leg side of the ball most of the time.
487, and then I kind of loved the fact that Pakistan bored the shit out of us for a while after that, because
I admired it.
They're supposed to fall apart, right? They've been out there in the heat for 4 sessions. It's 4.5. It's been tough work. They come out, Abdullah Shafique, Imam-ul-Haq, they just occupy the crease for a while. Abdullah occasionally plays a shot, particularly when Lyon bowled. He made a point of going after Lyon a bit, hit him for 3 boundaries before he got out to him much later for 42, I think Abdullah Shafique made out of the 74 that they'd put on by that stage. They saw off a lot of quality bowling from Stark and Hazelwood to begin with, and then from Cummins. They left a lot of balls. They were beaten a fair bit of the time. The Australians, I thought, bowled really well and beat the bat a lot. I suppose you can talk about the length they're pitching the ball and all the rest of it, but they were particularly good without actually succeeding at any one stage. And then, from where they got to, from where they ended up at, they weren't able to get that breakthrough, and Pakistan were just able to keep occupying, but they had the patience to do it. At one point, they were going at 1.9 and over, which I loved. I mean, why not? Wind the clock back. Yeah, so there's first of all, Shafique's got a really good record against Nathan Lyon. It was that bloke who came and stood next to the camera for 30 seconds there. We talked about 43 runs. He's about 63. The dignity or the indignity of the whole thing. Seriously, get a grip. Very excited.
Just standing next to the camera, eyeballing us. Like, come on, surely you've got family or mates or whatever. Anyway,
no, probably not.
Where am I? I've lost my concentration again.
Come on, focus. We're talking about occupying the crease.
Shafique and Lyon. Average 55 against him.
Shafique. Right.
It was a good matchup. Average 55 against Lyon and 85 against Cummins in that tour a couple of years ago, 18 months ago in Pakistan. So he was never really muscled or bodied by the senior Australian bowlers, right?
He was neither muscled nor bodied.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
You know what I'm saying?
Happened.
It wasn't like they kind of got in his head and so on. He obviously got out.
Nor Imam, who made a shitload of runs against Australia in that series.
Yeah, twin tons at Pindi, as we remember, and he's still there now.
The flattest pitch in the world.
And those two are averaging in partnership something like 53 per innings right now. Like they're turning themselves into a really steady and dependable opening partnership for Pakistan. Shafique made a double ton in his most recent Test match at Colombo 4 or 5 months ago. So there's something going on with that pair. They got good chemistry. I did think they might have left it a little bit too long to transfer pressure back. However, after tea, Australia were absolutely superb. Some might quibble a tiny bit on length, and that pretty length thing you often hear Mohammad Shami criticised for, but I don't think it was that at all. They bowled fuller after tea. They beat the bat like routinely 2 or 3 times and over. It was Hazelwood with Imam. It was Cummins and Stark at different points doing the job to Shafique. They were ever so unlucky not to get a conventional edge through to the wicketkeeper. As Brad observed in our video we were doing for SEM before, it was the opposite of the all-out 36 at Adelaide back in 2020, where every edge was found that day, or the all-out 60 or whatever it was at Trent Bridge back in 2015, where the fielding team got every single thing break their way. Today Australia had pretty much nothing break their way for the fast bowlers, and they were all frustrated at different times. You very rarely see Pat Cummins go hands on his head in dismay. Did that a few times. Josh Hazelwood, a double teapot. They knew how close they were, and ultimately
double teapot FM.
Yes, and ultimately Stig Maribo, icy cold cans of Coke with the Black Thunders. The best of the 80s, 90s, and today. I'm conflating the two. I'm sort of bringing the two. I think Stig Maribo was double T. Double T before he was Fox. Or
if you can identify the secret sound, you could win $10 cash.
Icy cold cans of Coke.
Probably AC Cola.
Yeah,
they were probably buying them at Kmart for 25 cents.
I had a teammate when I was still playing decent cricket. He used to call me AC Cola. I'm like, that is quite unimaginative. Hope he's going well. But yes, they bowled nicely. Ultimately, it was Nathan Lyon who gets the breakthrough. Test wicket number 497, and it was to a plan. They were working to Shafique round the wicket, and eventually
bit of turn. They had the short leg and they had the short mid wicket and they had the leg slip, and he just kept.
And how about the first ball that he bowled to Shafique that absolutely ragged? So Lyon's getting plenty on the ball. He bowled with a nice hard newish ball early on.
Got a big outside edge just past slip. Second ball that he bowled.
He was right in the game. Right in the game, and the ball to Shafique. It was full face of the bat. Really nice take from Warner around the corner. He's made an art form of that with Lyon over the journey, wearing the baggy green above his wide brimmed hat as well. Sartorial points.
And Shafique's trying to push pressure, so he skips down to that one. Like I said, he's hit the 3 boundaries. He played the cut shot. He hit the one over Lyon's head, and he played that sort of wristy, slappy square drive. And then he comes down. I think he's looking to go through square leg at that point, but the turn gets him and it flicks finer. Warner takes the catch, wearing the 2 hats, the old double hat Warner thing, the baggy green on top of the broad brim floppy. It's not quite slouch hat, baggy green sandwich, Steve Waugh areas, but pretty good in the. I thought we'd moved past the double hat era, but we're not. Warner's trying to keep that tradition alive, keep a flame burning. Takes that catch, and then Shan Masood comes in, and that was pretty. It was kind of fun. He averages 29. He made 30. He played his shots. He was like, oh well, I might not be the best player in this team, but I'm just going to see what I can do to get the foot down a bit. And Imam sort of joined him. He played a couple of shots, hit a couple of boundaries. They had an all-run 4 with the cut, although that was in the previous partnership. But some things got moving a bit later in the day until Shan Masood was out to a review. Big drive at Stark, not given. That was an interesting one. Not given, massive spike. Did he not know that he'd hit it? Because Shan Masood sticks around and waits for the review. Huge spike on ultra edge.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've learned conclusively through the DRS era that batters don't know always when they've hit it, and that was another example there. But there was 2 bits to the Shan thing. First of all, it wasn't without risk. Second ball, he does get Lyon through mid-wicket, but there was no room to work with. It's a huge degree of a huge element of risk playing a shot like that. He spoons that to mid-wicket second ball and it looks ridiculous, right? Instead it sneaks through. He chances his hand, he dances at Lyon a couple of times, once to great effect, smacking him straight back over his head. So there was method to it, and he spoke a lot before the series about wanting to play more like that. And I suppose in the mould of Ben Stokes, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch to compare the two, but he's trying to set a path for the way...
Much like Clive Lloyd and Josh Hazelwood, people are...
He's trying to show how he wants the rest of them to probably go about it. But, as it always is with Pakistan, it's going to come down to how well Babar Azam plays tomorrow, right?
Sure.
And Saud Shakil, who's
averaging 150 this year.
Yeah, he's not got the baggage of playing against Australia, nor does, I guess, Salman, to be fair. He's averaging 50 odd this year, made a Test 100. But there are guys in this Pakistani lineup who have not experienced being beaten up by Aussies down here the way that a lot of previous Pakistani generations have. And Babar Azam found a way last time. Big 100 at Karachi.
I'm pretty sure Saad Shakil's lowest score in Test cricket is 22.
22 in 13 innings.
He's never made a single figure score.
In 13 innings, his lowest score is 22, so hopefully he can keep that going tomorrow. And Jeff, that might be the right place for us to jump off and talk about the final word Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, where we talk about the most final word moment of the day. It's brought to you by CBUS Super, the greatest superannuation company on the face of this planet.
Including the two black holes.
Which are hopefully not on this planet. If they are, we're in trouble.
I'm watching that, what's that movie, what's that TV show about the Russians getting to the moon first?
Do not know.
You'd love it. You would fucking love it.
Kept this quiet
for all
all
mankind.
This time?
That's fictional. It's for all mankind. It's an alternative history show.
What if?
A bit like Man in the High Castle, but with fewer killings.
What is the Russian for Neil Armstrong?
Yeah, well, it's more like how would America be fundamentally a different country if they were chasing their tail in the space race?
Losers.
If they were losers. Really, really good. So after this, I'm going to go home and watch some of that with Rach. Probably not the kids. Hopefully they'll be near enough to asleep. Where are we? CBUS Super was established in 1984, the year I was born, created by workers for workers. 4 decades on, established as one of Australia's leading super brands, CBUS Super looks after more than 900,000 members. That's a massive number. Population of Australia, what, 25 million or something like that?
That's almost as many as you could fit into the stadium at Ahmedabad. Incredible, 900,000.
That manages over 85 billion of their money as of the 30th of June this year. And while CBUS might be big, they've never forgotten where they came from and why they do it. A proud industry super fund, one of these ones, representing those that help build Australia. Everything CBUS does is to benefit members and only members so they can eventually enjoy the retirement they've worked hard for. We're proud to be in association with CBUS Super. Get your own super sorted out. Do it in their 40th anniversary year. Jeff, you really, really need to get your super sorted out. cbussuper.com.au. Past performance, no reliable indicator of future performance, but boy, oh boy, they're fucking good at what they do.
It's a cute idea that freelancers have super. Anyway, the Hall of Fame. Let's get to Mitchell Marsh. The moment after lunch, it was beautifully Mitchell Marsh kind of shot. He just plays the biggest booming off drive that you could possibly imagine to the first ball after the break, and it's the kind of shot that's been bringing him a lot of joy in one-day cricket. But it was as though he'd been teleported back to the World Cup. He was opening the batting in Travis Head's absence, and he was playing that shot that he plays where he launches it over long off for 6. Maybe conventional wisdom and hindsight and all that, but maybe in a test match, maybe just give yourself a couple. Give yourself a little 1 or 2, because it decks in and it takes that middle stump. And there's a wonderful photo. It's very much the chapter 2 to the Aaron Finch photo from Adelaide, I reckon 2018, is it? When Finch is facing, is it Ishant Sharma or is it Mohammad Shami? One or the other. And he's playing that huge drive over long off and his stumps are exploding behind him. Mitchell Marsh, it's like, zoom in, you're like, ooh, nice shot. Zoom out, middle stumps flipping backwards at the time.
Yeah, look,
didn't go well.
I was really happy for Shazad to get another wicket. I thought he deserved it on the basis of what he did yesterday.
He got Smith and Marsh and he worked hard.
Yeah, pretty useful first couple of wickets given the way Marsh is going and the prestige that is Steve Smith. Imam landing a blow on Shan's back.
Oh, yeah.
He's absolutely nailing this on drive, and in his follow-through, well, not in his follow-through, when backing up, hit him right on the numbers, took about 3 minutes to ice the back and so on.
I thought he might have been caught at mid-on, I reckon, if that hadn't hit Shan.
Like the Grandholm a couple of years ago.
There was well, no, not from the deflection, I reckon, because he hit it on a bit of an angle, and mid-on was pretty straight. And I just think from that trajectory, maybe mid-on's got time to move across and catch it.
They might have saved him.
It's like maybe his captain threw himself on a live grenade by absorbing the pressure.
And the other one I liked was Cameron Green on for 1 over. They dump him in the gully. Why not? Mitchell Marsh is bowling. It all makes sense. Had a lashed cut shot from Shan Masood, and who dives full stretch to stop it? Only the best gully fieldsman of all time in Cameron Green. So, and then he walks off the ground, huge smile on his face. The Australians, they all know what's going on. They're like, this is brilliant. What a piss take this is. We just saved 4 runs because Cameron Green is the subfielder of all subfielders, and much as he did in one of the Ashes test matches when he stood at gully for much of one of England's innings, he's a really nice player to be able to deploy as required.
Yeah, but I like that they didn't keep him on.
No,
they weren't taking the piss with it as well. Like, I thought that was respectful too, rather than Sean Abboting it as they did through the whole World Cup, where the poor bloke fielded for about 450 overs.
All right, I think that's it, Jeff. When we return tomorrow, we're a Jeff Marsh against South Australia, or a Dennis Lilly test wickets away from Pakistan pulling level with Australia's 487. Everything we do throughout this summer is for CBUS Super, cbussuper.com.au, and indeed for our wonderful patrons. Phil Meng over there. So much of what we do happens because he had the idea of Nerd Pledge, and well, here we are. We have a Storytime ep coming out next week, the history of our game. And also, I may as well mention this, we've been shortlisted. We made the final of the Australian Sports Commission Best Podcast of the Year, which is a nice thing. I don't expect we're going to win it, Jeff, but we've made the final 4. It's a fairly prestigious set of awards. This is not a Mickey Mouse kind of thing. This is kind of like judges and all the rest of it. And, you know, we made the final 4. That's not for nothing. So other people are paying attention to what we're doing as well.
Well, is it a McIntyre? It's not a McIntyre final 5 system.
I'd like the McIntyre final 4. Let us play the second semi-final against Howie, and the loser of that can be in the preliminary final against the winner of the ABC's Generic Sports Podcast against the AFL's Daily Update, and the winner of that can play Howie again in the grand final. That's good Hawthorn, man. It all makes sense.
We've got it entirely worked out from here. If you have things to ask about fixturing, Adam Collins is the person to go to. All right, this is it. Final Word Daily. We'll be back for day 3. See you then.
Good night.